Okay, row 2A, we need to make a center of this next square that's going to be above this. So we're going to chain 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook, but go under the back bump and the loop above it. So that's why we turned, and slip stitch. That's our new ring. Chain 1, single crochet in that second free chain, or unworked chain, I believe is how I worded it in the pattern. Then we're going to turn it over. Okay, and double crochet into that ring for the first side of the first square of the second row. And again, we want to work into the back of the loop of the corner. So I'm turning this part over, but not the part that's on the hook, and slip stitch into the first corner of the first square, just like so. Let me show you that again. So this is where some people were confused. They get to here and could not figure out what to do next. So we're here. We have our 7. We've got our first side of our first square of row 2. So I'm going to take this whole piece down here and flip it over. And that first corner of that first square is where I make my slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to open it up just like we did for that first row, but this time we're over this way. Now we're going to make our second side of the first square of row 2 by putting 3 double crochet in the ring. All right, so we have a half a square of our first square of row 2. That's all we're going to do for now. And we're going to chain 7 to make the next square that goes right here. This is real similar to the way we did row 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook, but we're going to turn the work over. That's why I put turn in there. And slip stitch to make the ring for the next square. And we want to make a second double crochet, and this is going to be done by chain 1, single crochet into that second unworked chain. Now we're going to turn it over, double crochet into the ring. We've got our first side of our second square of row 2 right here in my hand. Pick up your work. You want to work into this corner here, so I'm going to turn it over and slip stitch. There we go, and slip stitch into that corner. Now we're going to also want to join it to the second square, so we're going to slip stitch into the first corner of the second square. See that? This is going to come this way, so it needs to be joined here as well. So slip stitch into that first corner of the second square. On the diagram, I put little arrows showing you where that slip stitch goes. Okay, so since we have a slip stitch here and here, that's our chain 2 for the corner. And now we're going to pull that piece out so that we have our center circle and make 3 double crochet for the second side of our second square on row 2. Okay, now we want to join it again to the second corner of the second square. So I've got the wrong side facing of the first row, and I'm going to slip stitch into that and chain 1. Then I'm going to pull it out and make 3 double crochet in that center circle for the second square of row 2. Now you can see we've got 2 double crochet shells for the 2 sides of the first square, and they're slip stitched in place, making the corner chain 2. The second square is here. It should be joined at the corners, and then the third side's here. Now we're going to make the third square of the second row by chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, some more yarn, 5, 6, 7, slip stitch into the 4th chain, turn the work over, go under the bump on the back of the chain and the loop on top, drop a loop and draw it through, making a slip stitch, chain 1, single crochet in that second skipped chain or unworked chain, and this is kind of a mock double crochet. Then we're going to turn it over and work into the ring for a double crochet. That makes our third double crochet of the first side of the third single crochet. Now we want to pick this up so that the back of the work is facing on the main part of the work, and slip stitch into that second hole, well actually the next hole of the half square we just worked. Slip stitch into that and then kind of pivot, and then the next unworked square, slip stitch into that first corner of the third square and yarn over, and I'll pick up that little ring there and work 3 double crochet. Now we're going to slip stitch into the second corner of the third square and chain 1 and work 3 double crochet into the circle for the third side of the third square. Now we're ready to move on to the 4th square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to go in the 4th chain. I'm going to turn and go under the bump on the back of the chain and the top loop, and slip stitch, make a ring for our center of our square, chain 1 and single crochet to count as our second double crochet. Then we'll turn it over, work a double crochet in that circle, then we're going to pick this up with the wrong side facing, with the right side of what we just worked on facing us, and slip stitch into the corner of the square we just made and slip stitch into the corner of the next square, and then we're going to pick up our little ring and work 3 double crochet into the ring for the second side of the square, and then we slip stitch into the second corner of the 4th square and chain 1. That's for a corner chain 2 space, and then 3 double crochet. the circle on the ring. And now we have 4 halves, well, 1/2 and 3 3/4 of squares, and we have 1 more square to go on this row, so we're going to chain 7, and again continue until you have the width you want on your pattern. That was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook, but turn it over and go into the loop on the back and the neck loop above it, and then chain 1 and single crochet into the back of the chain so that counts as a double crochet and another double crochet. Turn it over and work a double crochet in the ring. Okay, that's your first side of our last square on row 2. I'm going to pick this up with the wrong side facing, slip stitch into that corner, and then slip stitch into the first corner of the last square on the row. Then we want to pick up our little ring and make 3 double crochet into that ring. 1 2 3, and then slip stitch into the last corner on that last square and chain 1, and we're going to work a shell of 3 into the ring. Alright, so row 2A has just been finished. We will do 2B in the next video.